They slaughtered the lamb. Palm Sunday, Jesus rides into Jerusalem. Guess what else happened on that day, the 10th? All those lambs were being driven in and chosen by all those families who had come to Jerusalem to celebrate Passover. That's Sunday, 10th. Monday, 11th. Tuesday, 12th. Wednesday, 13th. Thursday, 14th. And what just happened on the 14th? On the 14th day, the whole assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter the animal on the 14th, which wound up on Thursday. So this is all starting to add up just right. Now, he didn't even mention this part, but I kept reading more, because if you go to verse 8, they are to eat the meat that night. That was the plan. They were supposed to eat the meat that night, and the next morning, there was supposed to be nothing left. Look, verse 10 in Exodus, you must not leave any of it until morning. In other words, you'll slaughter it, you'll eat of it, and it'll be done, and the next morning, it's gone. You can't see it. Back forward to Jesus' day, Palm Sunday week, Holy Week, on the 14th, they were to slaughter the lamb and get rid of it that night. They had so many animals dead everywhere that the cleanup began afternoon, and they had to have by the next morning all of that gone. It had to be out of here. What happened to Jesus? He's on the cross, and we just read a few minutes ago where they went to Pilate and said, can we have his body, because we got to get him buried before the Sabbath. But that Saturday is not the Sabbath we're talking about. It was the Friday Sabbath, the high Sabbath, because there was two of them. Have you ever heard this before? Me neither, till this week. But when I'm sitting here looking at the evidence that this man's laying out, and I look up high Sabbath, and there is such a thing. There also is no other place in the Bible where a normal Sabbath is called a high Sabbath. It's just on the week of Passover. It's the only time. All right, one more thing I found. Go over. Oh, never mind. I didn't mean to leave that part. The blood that they were to take and put on the two doorposts of the lintel, the frame of the door, right? What makes up a frame of a door? A vertical and a horizontal. What have we got? A cross. So we got blood on the doorpost of the lintel that makes a cross. They were supposed to eat the meat that night. What does Jesus said? I am the bread of life. We're supposed to eat of him in a spiritual sense. Do you see how this adds together like a pure puzzle? And it hits so perfectly. And I even went farther down, and I could hit one more detail just for fun here. Verse 22, take a cluster of, I'm back in Exodus, take a cluster of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and brush the lintel and the two doorposts with some of the blood in the basin. Now go over to John 19:28. John 19:28. We're kind of near it for today. This is our last piece we're going to look at. John 19:28. Let me get to John 19:28. It talks about Jesus is dying here on the cross. After this, when Jesus knew that everything was now finished, that scripture might be fulfilled, he said, I am thirsty. A jar full of sour wine was sitting there. So they filled a sponge full of sour wine on a hyssop branch. There it is again. And so this is the only reason I wanted to do this, because I've always had trouble with the math. And this gave me evidence of what I